now. Alright. I'm Mando Merc, and joining me is Cam, and we're going to watch the Cyberpunk Night City Wire Episode 5, because, I don't know about you, but I haven't watched this yet. I've watched some of it.
I've seen parts of it here, but not all of it, because I had to
so,
real quick run first time.
So neither of us have really watched the full thing, so we're just going to watch the full thing here and then give our thoughts.
You don't believe in no fate. Every day digging the grave. Stepping up here with the snakes. City of dreams, city of...
Hello and welcome to Night City Wire Episode 5, the show from us at CD Projekt Red, where we talk about all things Cyberpunk 2077. Now we're going to start today's episode with a new trailer that will take a closer look at Johnny Silverhand, before we go behind the scenes with Keanu Reeves and have a chat to English adaptation director Boris, who will tell us exactly what it was like to work with him. Then we'll be exploring the original score and talking about some of the radio stations you might listen to while driving around Night City. Before we take a look at the Jolly technology, which is powering facial animation in Cyberpunk, and unveil a new My Reward scheme which anyone can take part in, no matter which platform you'll be playing Cyberpunk on. We'll then wrap up today's episode with a brand new gameplay trailer. It's a busy episode, and it will be our final episode of Night City Wire before the game launches on December 10th. So, let's get going.
So far we know Johnny's not really in the game. He's he's not physically there in the world.
Where'd you even come from?
Because he was killed years ago.
How are we even talking? Gotta get out of here, understand? And I'll kill anyone who gets in my way.
You weren't dreaming, V. Those were memories. You two
Is that old Cunningham? The blonde?
Who? Me and who, Vic? Silverhand.
Johnny Silverhand. Real talk of the town back in my day.
He died, like, forever ago.
You need to say there's an actual terrorist in my head. Right now.
He'd burn down half the city just to prove he was right. And burn the other half just for fun.
What do you want from me? Destroy Arasaka. I don't even know what that means. Do whatever it takes to stop him, defeat him, gut him.
He already tried to take over your body. You know, just for a little while.
Hear me, asshole? A bullet to the fucking brain. Get out! Just get the fuck out! Tell me how to get rid of it.
Oh, is that 4-gauge shotgun?
You don't have much time left.
Maybe.
You're a dick, you know. And you're a cunt. Maybe we'll fit together after all.
Sometimes we like to share things with you, and other times we like to keep secrets, and it can be worth it for that big reveal. Pretty sure nobody was expecting to see Keanu Reeves on stage at E3 2019. So let's go behind the scenes to see how Keanu Reeves brought rocker boy Johnny Silverhand to life. You could say it's breathtaking.
Cyberpunk 2077, Johnny Silverhand. I've had the opportunity to do voiceover a few times. I'd worked on a cartoon. I had done some documentaries. I'd never done this much. You know you don't gotta speak out loud to talk to me. And I've processed some shit. Changed my mind. Don't want you dead anymore. You know, and got to play a character in so many kind of different ways because of different paths or threads or choices. So you almost
he's supposed to be a second protagonist in the game.
Of a decision would you take
Yes.
a bullet for with 3 different behavioral attitudes. So that was
He was
fun.
pretty much the main protagonist in
Johnny's
2020.
either a
so.
dick, or he's
Essentially,
happy, or he's trying to convince. Know why? Because you've always been a fucking pussy, Carrie. So it's been fun, and that was kind of what I was interested in. You know, the different options that the game could play. You know, playing the same person, but with different versions of them.
Motion capture, baby. Johnny Silverhand.
So one of the first elements that I was involved in with the game was motion capture. I've done a fair bit of motion capture. I did it with in the Matrix films. So to start doing the motion capture for Johnny, it was all very familiar to me. The only difference, I think, technologically was how close they were going to real-time review. But creatively, it was very familiar in the sense of starting a library of gesture and the toolbox, let's say, for the animators to work with for the character. So you get to see Johnny as the rock star, you know, you hear about his military past, you know, and he's fighting for his survival. So he's kind of got all of these things leading into the moment of this guy. It's really a kind of an interpretation, because I think there's a Johnny Silverhand in all of us. He's got a lot of energy, he's got a good sense of humor, if not a little dark at times. He's very passionate, he cares, you know, he's kind of naive, but he's also super experienced in life. He's got certainly an appetite for life.
No, you're wrong.
He wants to change the world, you know? He has a cause that he wants to fight against the corpocracy.
Come on. Don't tell me you're not interested.
He's kind of looking for a different kind of freedom.
Corps have long controlled our lives, taken lots.
Really?
And now they're after our souls. At least I believed in something bigger.
Bear in mind, I'm not at the same time point you are. I'm at 7:14 right now.
Oh, okay. Right, I forgot I'm not sharing the screen
What
because
CD
then it
Projekt
shared the
Red
entire...
has shared with me in the way that they talk about the game and what I've seen is that it's got a lot of freedom. There's so many different paths that you can play the game on. But it's not just quests of paths. It's like, who are you? How do you want to play the character?
If I gotta kill, I'll kill. If I need your body, I'll fucking take it.
You can go into action, you can go into mystery, you can problem solve in different ways. And where you go in this world, there's so much detail. There's so many different things that you can go off into that are really interesting and fun. There's a real drama to the game and emotional stakes to it. And then there's lighter sides to it. And of course, the music, production design, technologically, how cutting edge it is. I don't think there'll be a game that looks like this. Yeah, it's intense.
I take the driver, you get his sidekick.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Before we get into what it was like to actually work with Keanu Reeves, was it always him that you imagined as Johnny Silverhand? Was there anybody else that you ever considered having for the role?
Yeah, Holly, it was a long, arduous, extended process to imagine what Johnny Silverhand is supposed to look like, what he's supposed to sound like, what he's supposed to act like. Everybody and their great-grandmother seemed to have an idea. And the process actually involved a lot of people. The game director, character artists, writers, marketing staff. I could go on. You know, we cast a pretty broad net initially. We considered actors. We considered enlisting actual rock stars, you know, band frontmen to play the role. At one point, we even toyed with the idea of taking and reviving a recently deceased, longtime luminary of the recording industry. Now, some might say that it was a pipe dream to assume that we could do that technologically or otherwise. Well, I'll see you that pipe dream and raise you another, because one could easily say that it was a pipe dream to assume that we could successfully pitch to and ultimately enlist Keanu Reeves to play the role.
Now, I'm sure this is on everybody's mind right now, but what was it actually like to work with Keanu Reeves? Because even he said in the video, this was like nothing he'd ever done before.
A question that I'm sure anybody who gets to work with Keanu has to answer, and I get where it comes from. Keanu is a consummate professional. When he's at work, he's at work. He's completely and utterly focused. To that work, he brings his talent, he brings his art, his technical skill, and overwhelming charm. And yes, the scale and the complexity were and are dazzling. Non-linearities, the variation in attitude, mood, emotion that are required to achieve them, they can be difficult to get your head around. And if you take all of Johnny Silverhand's bits, his screen time, it's like doing the equivalent of many, many feature film roles put together. And we covered all that in a handful of
Makes
mocap
sense considering how
sessions
he was a
and
soldier,
under 2
a
dozen VO
rocker
recording
boy, and
sessions of 4 to 6 hours
things.
each. And that took focus, it took control, it took dedication, all of which Keanu provided in heaps.
So tell us a little bit more about the character of Johnny Silverhand and why he's important to the story, but also why it's important to have him played by such a powerful personality.
Okay, how do I do this without spoiling too much for gamers?
Talk about 2020.
In the broadest sense, I'd say Johnny Silverhand is a co-protagonist of the game rather than a sidekick. I mean, there are buddy bits in the game, but in the end, Johnny has an agenda and he pursues it. And V has an agenda and has to pursue that. And to get things done, V and Johnny have to work together. Some of the things they do are V's, and some of the things they do are Johnny's, and some of them are important to both of them. That bonds gamers, I think, to both characters. Both characters' agendas become equally important. Both characters' continued existence becomes equally important. For any gamer or viewer or reader, what you have to do is create that bond between them and the protagonist or protagonists. You have to make those characters understandable to them, likable to them, lovable to them. With that understanding, even when they do something not entirely admirable or say something reprehensible, you stay committed, you stay involved, you stay bonded to them. And there's no denying casting a powerful personality, somebody who exudes charm by the truckload, helps to further all that.
So Boris, can you tell us, what does Keanu bring to Johnny Silverhand?
What Keanu brings to Johnny Silverhand is nothing more and nothing less than Keanu. I could parse that into a string of adjectives, but I kind of think that would be borderline insulting because it wouldn't begin to do him justice. To anybody who's seen the applicable movies, Neo is Keanu, Keanu is Neo. John Wick is Keanu, Keanu is John Wick. John Constantine, Johnny Mnemonic, Jonathan Harker, Johnny Utah, they're all Keanu. And to anyone who will play Cyberpunk 2077, Johnny Silverhand will be Keanu.
I'm ahead of you.
To my mind, at least, star power is
No, I think you're a little bit behind. He was just talking about all the roles Keanu would have.
Yeah.
Broad sections of the audience.
I'm like maybe a minute ahead.
Can you give us more information about the process of motion capture, right? Because we saw you in the video, doing some of it, but really, how does it work?
I wish I could, Holly, but I'm really no mocap expert, and I can basically tell you what the day looked like, what the process looked like to me. To me, it was a fine day in LA, and I put on a wonky-looking bodysuit with globules all over it, and I put on the head cam, and then we proceeded to block and then play out scenes between V and Johnny, and we did it over and over and over again. As we did that, I must have poked Johnny in the chest hundreds of times, and I must have yelled "fuck off" at Johnny 35 times, well, I never expected to be doing any of that. No, I never imagined I'd be doing any of that.
Well, Boris, thank you so much for joining us. Your voice in the studio is quite iconic. So whenever I talk to you, I feel like I'm in a trailer. It's amazing.
It's not all that. It's not all that, Holly. Thank you.
Well, from Soviet-era synthesizers to body heat radio, it's time to explore the original score and just some of the radio stations you'll be listening to when you're driving around Night City.
Score is the main vessel of emotions in both movies and video games, and Cyberpunk 2077 is no different.
It actually took us a long time to find the right color of the music. getting that sound together is almost as important as the actual look of the game itself, because music is really helping you feel this emotional connection to the game.
Not wrong there. Audio is just as important as visuals.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's like you said, it's what ties you to
what
the game.
it can do is
Like,
exactly what makes or breaks something. For instance, a good example is Halo 3's assault rifle.
So one of the main ideas was
the
to
reason
take
why a lot of people hate
the
it is because
cyberpunk
it
genre
sounds
out
so
of the
weak.
80s and give it a 90s flair.
There's not enough
We took
oomph behind
elements
it,
from
it's not loud
rave,
enough.
IDM, industrial, and make them fit our narrative purposes.
We've decided that close to 100% of our music would be purely electronic.
That's why we tried to stick to analog synths as much as possible, so it's got a warmth to it.
I'm super proud of the team we've managed to gather for this project.
For me, it was basically my own personal aesthetic matching the aesthetic of the game. When I read the brief, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. I can be myself. I can make music, and it come from an honest place.
I love the fact that the music in this game is so varied. So we have some tracks that are super dirty, super heavy, and then we have some tracks that are very beautiful and ambient. I'm using all kinds of different effects. So it's been great to be able to experiment with the sound and the style.
It's my first time actually doing any drum tracking for a video game. It's been really exciting. It's been a lot of fun.
It's all about making you feel like a perfect killing machine, because that's what you are basically.
Well, I can do that all day long. So you'll just have to tell me what you like, and what you don't like.
Cool. Okay.
It's not going to sound like one thing, depending on what part of the city you're in.
We basically scored every quest pretty much with custom assets created specifically for that
looks
quest.
painful.
We ended up having over 7.5 hours of music.
Well, they definitely did a great
Working on
job
Cyberpunk
with the
is
sounds.
insane.
Yes.
I can seriously say that I've never worked with such a bunch of mad people in my life, and mad brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, especially if those samurai songs are anything to go by, then
comes
this is
out
looking
of
up great.
boutique shops, or they are vintage synthesizers like this Polyvox.
I really hope all this effort put into creating this score pays off with satisfying and enjoyable listening and gaming experience.
Hello, Night City. What's shaking, Night City? Good morning, Night City! Your man, Stan here. Ooh, I love this town. Love it like you might love a mother who popped you out on the steps of an orphanage once and now stops you to ask if you got a smoke for her. And now, a shout out to all the
That's oddly
lowlifes
specific.
over at the Atlantis. Ladies and gents, here's that all-time classic in Night City.
Oh, this is that save track
Soundtrack
song.
is one of the key
tools
elements
that
we
they
use
released
to
a few
build
days ago.
believable world.
Yeah.
We've invited artists from around the world.
I'm not a rap guy,
incredible
but that was actually pretty good.
Incredible musicians to write and produce
Yeah.
songs just for us for this project.
The soundtrack for Cyberpunk is insane. So the soundtrack being all the songs that they've got going on, whether it's on the radio or on the background, all these just amazing bands.
We've got over 150 custom genre-bending tracks, all waiting for you to discover them by yourselves.
You know, the reason I wanted to be a part of Cyberpunk is, well, basically I know The Witcher is super sick, and then I actually got to play a preview of the game, which was fucking incredible.
I've always wanted to do something connected to a video game, so I was pretty excited when this came in, and it was like an instant yes.
I was kind of imagining what it would be like being a character in that game. The person that's a musician in this world and this time has grew up in that space.
This isn't just some fun shit, there's also an intellectual and spiritual history to this world that's been constructed for you, you know?
We want to provide you with the soundtrack to fucking shit up. Like, how can you not want to be a part of that?
For those of you who can't wait to hear more from our composers, we're going to be releasing a special 6-track Cyberpunk 2077 EP featuring tracks from the game's original score onto streaming services for you to enjoy for free, and they'll be live at the end of this episode, so you can give them a listen later. In addition, if you're planning on live streaming Cyberpunk, or if you just want to make videos, we want to introduce you to a new mode that will allow you to disable certain copyrighted tracks. We know that for content creators, licensed music can sometimes be problematic.
Yeah.
This new mode
It's definitely a nice option, especially because YouTube apparently has been cracking down on some of that stuff.
could cause some issues, replacing them with a different song, helping to avoid any problems.
Twitch has been
If you're going to be
so
live
far
streaming
from
from console, this will start automatically, but you can toggle it on and off in the options as needed. And for PC players, you'll be able to turn it on and off in the game options. Don't forget, as with all episodes of Night City Wire, if you're tuning in late or if you just want to watch anything again, we will be uploading everything to our channels soon. Now, from Polish to Chinese. When Cyberpunk launches, it will have VO in 10 different languages. So we're going to take a closer look at the Jolly technology, which is ensuring each and every one is as authentic as possible.
So hi, my name is Sarah Watling.
So it doesn't so it doesn't look like a spaghetti western
in Toronto, Ontario.
or an
In
old
this video,
samurai
we're
film.
going to show you a little bit about Jolly, the software, and Jolly in action within the world of
So this way the
Cyberpunk
characters aren't
2077.
still moving their mouths when they only said like
Honnêtement, sans détour.
I will destroy you, and then their mouths still keep moving because like that belongs in another language or something like that.
Jolly is a suite of tools and a suite of services that result in what we think is the coolest and best and highest quality facial performance on characters.
Oh, is that supposed to sound familiar?
It's automatically generated on a face based on audio dialogue, audio
Hey CIG, you
speech
watching?
from a voice actor.
Slow, deep breaths. Your cortisol and adrenaline spiked, but the soft activated your hormone blockers. Nothing happened. You're alive and well.
What Jolly tries to do is it tries to get to the root of what is being expressed in the vocal performance and put that on a 3D character.
That's Rogue. Best fixer in all of Night City.
There is just an incredible amount of performance in this game.
Sure.
A procedural solution allows you to animate over and over and over again at tremendous scale. Jolly is what powers every single character in the game of Cyberpunk 2077 in all of the languages that the game has been localized for.
Ahora escúchame bien. Este mierdas de Anthony Gilchrist. ¿Es tu contacto? Hat Infos zum Konvoi durchsickern lassen?
All you're doing is changing an attribute. For example, speech style. If you wanted your character to shout instead of mumble, instead of issuing a set of commands that redo the animation, instead you click an attribute going from, in this case, mumble to shout.
But you walk. You breathe, but you walk. You breathe, but you walk. You breathe.
If the lip sync is right, you don't notice. If the faces match and match the performance, you don't notice because you're too busy paying attention to how awesome the game is, how much you care about these characters, what you're gonna do.
This is
And
such
that's
a
what we want.
subtle,
That to me
nice
is-
touch that they didn't need to add.
That's the sizzle.
Don't you know you owe the sheriff a word when you pay his town a visit? To tell him what's brought you here. Maybe even over a cup of coffee.
Now we're excited to reveal digital and in-game rewards for Cyberpunk 2077. It's our way of saying thank you for your support. Now, every copy of the game comes with digital downloadable goodies such as the art book, the original score, and a digital comic, all from the Cyberpunk universe. But there's more. You can also claim in-game items for Cyberpunk 2077. For example, you could be rocking the Wolf School jacket for simply connecting the game to your GOG account. And if you have other CD Projekt Red games, such as The Witcher or Gwent, you can get even more. And it works both ways. If you connect the game to your GOG account, you can also unlock special in-game items for Gwent, the Witcher card game, such as the samurai-inspired card and coin back, and the breathtaking title. Now, this new My Reward program is for everybody. No matter which platform you're playing Cyberpunk on, you'll be able to get your digital goodies and in-game items. Now, this is just the beginning, and there'll be more items coming in the future, and we'll have more information on My Rewards soon. As always, don't forget that if you've missed anything or if you just want to watch again, we will be uploading everything to our channels soon. So before we take a look at that new gameplay trailer, we just want to reveal that a number of games media from all over the world have been playing Cyberpunk 2077, and you'll be able to read their latest impressions when this episode of Night City Wire finishes, so you can go and check them out. So now, let's wrap up this episode and take a look at that brand new gameplay trailer.
They got a lock on us. Engine's been hit.
Get us out of here.
I'm losing control.
Looks like swimming is confirmed.
Looks like what?
At CD
Swimming.
Projekt Red,
Oh,
we
yeah,
dedicate
yeah,
ourselves to telling immersive stories.
I'm at the bar.
Yet
now
with
I'm in
every
the
new
moment,
project, we
the
set out to
Badlands.
make our games
Yeah,
bigger,
you're swimming. Yeah.
more complex,
Yeah,
deeply
because they
engaging.
talked about ocean
Come on, V. Let's get you on.
levels and stuff.
Cyberpunk 2077
Like
marries
last year,
exploration
people
of a
were
vast
theorizing,
open world
finally
with
got a
kinetic
look at it.
combat,
Yep.
story-changing
Oh, I thought they had like
choices,
dive pins on
and
stuff.
robust character development,
And here's a look
all
at
to
the
bring you
customization.
into our vision of the dark future.
You ever feel like the city doesn't give you a choice? You either burn alive in it, or you never
So a lot of the
existed at
footage
all.
here from the gameplay trailer
The year
we
is
saw in the
2077.
Xbox One
An economic
/
crisis
Xbox Series
culminating
X
in nuclear
gameplay
conflict has left America
footage
in pieces.
from earlier in the week.
With most of the continent degenerating into lawless war zones,
Like
people
that
from
guy's,
all over have
a band
converged on
member
the
of Samurai,
already
Johnny
overcrowded
Silverhand's band.
Night City, one of the world's last great megalopolises. A hub amassing the best in resources
Hey,
and
look, it's Ed
know-how,
209.
and home to manufacturers of cutting-edge technologies. Night City continues to offer the promise of a civilized future.
What? No, this isn't happening. Oh, but it is.
But in the city's streets,
We're gonna do
a
performance
merciless
surgery
struggle for
on
power rages.
Talbot?
Gangs,
Maybe.
corporate agents,
Honestly, in this world, I wouldn't
religious
do that.
cultists, politicians, and all manner of criminals strive to outplay one another. Ordinary people get caught in the crossfire.
Looking for justice. In Night City, I seek revenge. Much more feasible here.
In this world, consumed by never-ending conflict, sometimes only an outsider will get the job done.
Elizabeth tells me you have answers for us. I'm all ears.
And that's you, an urban mercenary, a cyber-enhanced gun for hire.
You seem to understand each other. Take this, too.
As a mercenary, you swear no allegiance. You've chosen the outlaw life and trust that your abilities will carry you up Night City's ruthless, underground social ladder.
Heart of Night City. That's it right there.
To thrive as a merc, you need the right combination of gear, skills, and reputation.
Dex had a load to say about you. I hope he wasn't overselling.
With the money you earn, you can turn yourself into a living weapon, buying guns and enhancements in the hundreds.
I like the idea of having a closet full of different arms.
As you roam
Literal
the city
arms.
streets, you gain the experience you need to upgrade abilities and acquire perks. Combine the right skills and gear to create a gunslinger with inhuman reflexes. A stealthy
Terminators.
netrunner with command of all surrounding tech. Or practically anyone in between.
Wow.
In Cyberpunk 2077, you steal a prototype biochip that can set you up for life.
Being filthy rich.
When its
That's
sealed
putting it
container is ruptured, the only way to prevent the biochip from failing is to slot it into your head. It turns out it contains the digitized soul of Johnny Silverhand, a dead rocker boy with violence on his mind.
You mean to say there's an actual terrorist in my head right now?
He's out for revenge. Aims to bring down the megacorp that made the chip.
Do whatever it takes to stop him, defeat him, gut him.
What is in your head can shift the balance of power in Night City. The high and mighty will do anything to lay their hands on it.
So we were right about the story.
Yes.
Told you I'd end you someday.
Oh,
The
Adam
choices
Smasher,
you
I see him
make will
talking
shape your story
to Johnny
and determine
through V. That's
how
pretty cool.
events unfold.
V, you gotta take him down. That's why we're here.
But not everything in Night City is a matter of life and death. Sometimes it's about style, choosing your look, your ride, your pastime, who's at your side. Choosing how you spend your dirty money.
Alright, I'm going to definitely ride the roller coaster at least once.
Yeah.
Just for the hell of it.
If they don't have a mission where you're getting shot at while you're riding the roller coaster.
Immerse yourself in Cyberpunk 2077.
That would be disappointing, but I honestly am not expecting it. Yeah, so I think that's it. Okay, so I'm done with it now. You're done?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was cool.
That was. It was interesting seeing a lot more of the world. Now, I will know, they did kind of, spoil a little bit of that intro story part, but given that's the intro, that,
yeah,
hey, by
that's
the way,
supposed
you've
to
got
be
this
like
guy
the
in your head
first,
now.
that's supposed to be like the part of the first few hours, like, because we know that the first, 3 or 5 hours of the game are the prologue sequence, and it changes depending on whether you're Nomad, Corporal Rat, or Street Kid. And then obviously from there you get the chip, and then you have the rest of the game with Johnny in your head. And I want to see if I can find that clip I mentioned earlier, because I could have sworn I saw Alt Cunningham in the game, because this is the first time we're actually seeing her visually in the game. Because aside from that, we only had like the little images that we had from the 2020 game, like we had with every other character.
Who is Cunningham?
Alt Cunningham is Johnny Silverhand's girlfriend.
I did not recognize her, but then I've never been into the 2077 stuff, so I don't know what she would look like.
So she digitized her consciousness as well before Johnny did, and she's now trapped behind the black wall in cyberspace.
Didn't we hear something about rogue AIs or something?
So that's where all the rogue AIs
firewall?
are. They're behind the black wall because, yeah.
Where'd you even come from?
So I'm trying to see where. There. Yeah, I think that's.
By the way, I can't see your screen.
Yeah, but the people watching the video can't see the screen, so.
Yeah.
But there, I think, if you go to the 147-minute mark, I think that's Alt Cunningham. So she's like a supermodel or whatever. Or was, before she digitized her conscious and then got stuck in cyberspace.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, I see what you mean. So it's gonna be trippy because they're probably gonna have us playing through some of Johnny's memories. And stuff.
I think it's gonna be really cool.
Oh,
it's gonna
yeah.
be trippy as hell, but it's gonna be cool because it's like
they already have that tech.
Yeah, because the I think some of them are just gonna be straight up flashbacks, not even like brain dance stuff. So it's not gonna have that like brain dance filter on the screen where everything looks like you're watching it through a CRT TV.
Well, I mean, I'm wondering if it would just be flashback, if it will be because I'm thinking it might be more than just flashback. I'm thinking it's going to be that essentially. So it will be a flashback, but it'll be
a playable
hey,
one.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
gonna
like
be, you're in the scene. What would Johnny? Who is Johnny? You're making the choices.
I heard someone saying, what if we get to play parts of, say, like Cyberpunk 2020, but in the game as Johnny, through flashbacks and stuff like that. That would be so cool.
I think that'll be the case. I'm not sure. At the very least, I would think they would probably do a DLC of it.
Yeah, because we do know this game's gonna have DLC, so.
So it's like, yeah, I would think, because it'd be pretty interesting too to have, even if they don't do it in the main game, be like, hey, by the way, here's Night City younger, before it became what it was now, before
because remember, Night City got
power
nuked.
They have now.
Like in 2022 or something, I think Night City got nuked. I think it's part of the 2020 game. It's one of the
It's like, it'd be really interesting to see it kind of before all that kind of stuff, when it's it's younger, it's yet to kind of evolve into what we know it as. That'd be really interesting to see. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, I just think that if this is Alt Cunningham, that's pretty cool to actually have flashbacks in her, because I figured, okay, we have cyberspace, we have the black wall, we know she's behind the black wall, so I figured, okay, there's probably gonna be something where Johnny wants to rescue her or whatever.
Yeah.
But I didn't think we'd actually see her like actually physically see her in the game.
Yeah.
I thought we'd just see like whatever her digital consciousness looks like, similar to Johnny or something like that. Or not even, like, we'd hear her voice or whatever, we'd see her as a digital being, whatever they look like in cyberspace.
Yeah.
Because in Cyberpunk, for anyone who don't know, the internet, as we have it today, is essentially full of rogue AI, and it, like a virus, like, completely ruined the hell out of it. So they built there's a black wall that they call it, which blocks it out, and now things are connected through like local internets. So like a city block would have its own internet, and another block would have another own internet. So they're not connected to each other.
They're like directly connected.
Right. So you'd have to physically connect them to, yourself in the game. I think they talked about that in the whatever the trailer was where they showed off net running with the animals gameplay, where you're fighting the animals crew. But yeah, so she's Alt Cunningham, Johnny Silverhand's girlfriend, is trapped behind the black wall. She's in the infected cyberspace.
And who knows how that's affected her?
Yeah, she could be evil now. She can be dead. She can still be alive.
We don't
trapped
know.
there. We don't know.
Was she quote unquote good before?
I don't know. I mean, Johnny wasn't exactly good before either, but he was the protagonist of 2020 to an extent.
So, she might be normal, but she also, as an unaffected by being behind the black wall, but she could be bug-fuck nuts at the same time.
Yeah, I also, the song that they released, Never Fade Away, I think that song's supposed to be a reference to Cyberpunk 2020, because if you listen to the lyrics, I think it's talking about how, Alt Cunningham's now trapped in cyberspace, and how there's a line about blowing it up, and it's like, I think that's a reference to nuking Night City in 2022. So it's a pretty interesting song. It pretty much sums up the history prior to 77.
How long before Johnny got iced or digitized himself? How long ago did his girlfriend digitize herself?
I don't know. I know some of the lore, but I'm not a lore expert when it comes to Cyberpunk.
I'm just wondering if it would have been possible for them to have made a song regarding her. Because again, it's supposed to be in lore, like the songs
right?
are
Yeah, that's true.
In lore and stuff. So I'm just going. Now, was this song made after she digitized herself, but before Johnny digitized himself?
It could have just been they made the song as like a little Easter egg type thing, but the song has like nothing to do in lore with anything. I don't know. I just thought it was relevant because it's like, hey, they talk about events that actually, like, the song mentions, like, I mean, you have to look for it and you have to know the lore in order to really, like, see it, but I don't know, it's kind of cool. But yeah, the new gameplay that we saw with the Xbox gameplay too, what was it? The Xbox gameplay, they showed off another Ripper Doc, right? Fingers or whatever his name was.
Yeah, something like that. And I like too. It's not like, oh, you're just gonna have one. It's like, hey, I don't like this person. I wanna go to some other person. Or, maybe they have like different, like one person. Hey, I only have access to these mods because that's all someone of my, experience and connections, that kind of stuff can get access to. Whereas someone who, let's say if someone, you got one who's over with the nomads. Hey, us with the nomads, we have these, levels of tech here. Whereas if you have one who's like, oh yeah, I work for Arasaka, off the books or something, so they give me access to some of the good stuff here. They'd obviously have more to offer for us.
Right, like, for instance, I think, at least from the Ripper Docs that we've seen and know are in the game, I'm definitely leaning towards me personally, I'm leaning towards the guy that we saw in the first gameplay demo from 2018. Well, so far we've only really seen 2 or 3, so...
I think we've only seen like 3. There's the one girl, and then the 2 guys.
Right. Yeah, definitely, I don't know, Fingers just rubs me the wrong way. No, that oh, that's out of context. That can sound so wrong.
Out of context, everything will sound wrong.
True. And then again, we literally have a sign there that says "fuck to death."
How do you think Johnny Silverhand went out?
Got stabbed to death, apparently.
Shh, details. Although, if I remember right, in at least the original info we were getting, wasn't the chip that you were stealing supposed to grant like immortality?
That's the
or
thing.
something?
The chip. It's supposed to be the chip to immortality, and they've even had trailers saying that too. Like it's supposed to be the chip to immortality. That's why everyone's after it. But what it really has is the immortal. It has the immortal digitized conscious of Johnny on it.
Which, and maybe it's a thing of like no one's been able to fully digitize a consciousness without the consciousness going essentially mad or something like that.
Or without having to be connected to the maybe it had to involve cyberspace, but now it doesn't. Like with this chip, like that's why Johnny can just be wherever you are as long as you have the chip installed or whatever it is.
Well, then again, though, bearing in mind that even assuming, so let's say if you had like a blank one of these chips and you could put yourself in it, just like Johnny Silverhand was, that still means you're only presuming from what we've seen so far, Johnny can only interface with you. Now, that being said, through you, he could interface with the world to some.
It's also implied that he can take over your body, so you can
like,
take over someone else's body if they plug you.
If I need to kill, I'll kill, and if I need to use you to do it, I'll fucking take you. And it was just like, whoa, okay, so he's going to be trying to actually take control of our physical body, or at least our, biomechanical upgrades and stuff like that at times. But even then, I don't know how many people, assuming that these would be the rich and the powerful trying to get this technology. It's like, at most, it's like, I mean, sure, you could essentially try to have like a host body that then gets controlled by this digital consciousness, but unless you had that, you aren't going to be, you'd essentially just be piggybacking, if you were on this chip, you'd only be piggybacking.
Right, but I think for the most part, it's at least the feeling I'm getting is that really the audience is the only one that knows that this chip doesn't actually grant you.
True.
And even if it does grant you immortality, we don't really know yet because we haven't played the game.
It might have that technology there too. Johnny went and stole it, uploaded himself onto it to stop it, protect it, do something else with it. Who knows? Fuck the corporations over with it and whatever. It might do exactly what they said, but surprise, there. You got Johnny on there too.
Yeah. That's the thing. I don't think a lot of people know. Like, at least it's implied from what I've gotten from the trailers that they don't know Johnny's on the chip. They just think this chip somehow grants you immortality.
Yeah.
At least that's what the story, the trailers imply, and the leaks that we heard like a few months ago imply.
Big surprise.
But then obviously it seems like if you go to Ripperdoc or whatever it is, it seems like someone has to scan your head and then they figure out, oh, Johnny's in your head. And then it's like you have that Spider-Man then you have that Spider-Man black suit moment where it's like, it's alive? I have a terrorist in my head?
Surprise, bitch.
Gunplay looks good though.
Yeah, it does.
Also, they showed off, I think, later in this clip that we're watching now, they show off some Katana gameplay too, which is nice. Because I've been dying to see some of that. They had a little clip a few months ago, but it was, you can tell it was very work in progress. Oh, is that with the new blade that they just showed off with the, if you have GOG and everything?
Yeah,
it looked like the hilt looked like the same blade. Like it belonged to the same blade.
But and I do like that they're like, oh hey, we're having these, we're essentially having items that you're getting across all of our stuff for.
Yes, it's not
Cyberpunk.
there's no console exclusive content.
Yes.
Like Call of Duty having essentially PlayStation 4 people will be able to play this game mode or get whatever before everyone else.
Yep.
Also, I love how they're pretty much like, we have a story we want to tell, and then we have a certain way of telling it, and we're not letting anything hold us back, as you can clearly see by all the signs and such here.
Oh yeah. Well, and to be fair, I've always wondered for a long time here. It's like you have video games. Like I remember Gears of War, and even going back, all the way to Gears of War 1, which when did that come out? Like 2008, something
First
like
one?
that. 2007.
Yeah, I think something like that.
It was an original Xbox 360 game. It was one of the first ones.
It was
It's been out over
a
decade.
360 game, yeah.
But it's like you've got literally you have and of course combat games have been nothing new here, but it's like you've got literally a chainsaw on your assault rifle, and you literally cut bad guys, which are mostly humanoid, in half with it.
And blood sprays everywhere.
Oh yeah, blood everywhere and stuff like that. And it's like that perfectly fine. But you go and you show, any kind of nudity, holy shit, what the fuck? Stop the process. Like, why?
Well,
why is there
apparently
such a
female
huge...
nipples can destroy generations, so
Yeah, it's like, huh, why are kids so violent these days? And it's like, among other things, you literally go and promote violence left, right, and center across all forms of media. I mean, hell, just looking at the nightly news, it's like you're gonna see, it's like, hey, look, there's buildings burning and riots and all that kind of stuff, but don't, that's fine. It's mostly peaceful, huh? Anyway, not to delve.
You're right. That it's weird.
But
I don't
it's
agree
like,
that
you've got all that kind of stuff, and it's like that's perfectly fine for kids of all ages to see, generally speaking. But anything regarding essentially sex, there, I said it. YouTube, go ahead and hit us. No, but anything in regards to sex has been persona non grata in pretty much most media for decades. Pretty much written media was the only place you could really get away with it, because,
and look, I'm not. I don't think that video games cause violence and all that nonsense.
No,
I think it. Look, it's first of all, it's depending on the parents and the individual and all that. There's so many factors. You can't just blame one specific thing. But in regards to like how, violence is okay, but nudity and sex and all that is not.
Limitations, violence is perfectly acceptable within certain limitations.
Right. That's another thing too. Is
generally speaking.
Yeah, because look, take Halo. The last two, Halo 5 and now Halo Infinite, are both rated teen, but Halo has always been a rated M game, mainly for like very, very mild swearing.
Well, yeah, you'd have
and also like we both played Halo CE and SPV3, so remember the insane amounts of blood that you can do.
Like walking through the hallways when
after a firefight, just like against one enemy, the entire room is painted purple or blue or whatever.
Yeah, and you're just like, oh, this is not good.
Oh right, and then when you have the first time you meet the Flood, you're walking into a hallway that you've never been in before, and you already see it painted in blood. And it's like, oh, I didn't do this. What the hell am I walking into?
Wait a minute. I didn't do this. What's going on here?
Exactly. It's like that was part of it too. It's like I love how that played into it.
Because normally stuff only happens when you, the protagonist, enact it. You're just like,
It's like, what caused the flood? Because I didn't.
I have several questions now.
Right, and then all of a sudden the flood come and attack you, and then you get attacked by combat forms for the first time. Oh my god, you ever?
Especially when you actually see like Marie, like oh hey look, I found some raisins. Oh,
yeah, he starts shooting at you.
Shit, no, I have to kill
unless you're playing Cursed Edition, he shoots himself.
Yeah,
in your face because the pistol's backwards. But anyway, yeah, the whole point is like the games were gory and bloody, and like that's what I like about the new Doom games is that like they're not hiding it. It's like, here, you can rip a guy in half with your bare hands, or
Like, you are the Doomslayer. That's who you are. But at the same point, like I said, I've always just hated that violence in video games and other media. It's like, oh, that's perfectly fine, but you show a pair of tits and everyone freaking flips out. And I like that CD Projekt Red is going, hey, look, this is a realistic world.
We're gonna be showing tits. That's small.
Sense.
No, they're probably going like showing tits. That's small potatoes. Here, customize your dick. And
Well, I mean, I know even in like The Witcher 3, there were several parts where the characters have nudity, and it's just like that's how the world is. You take off your clothes, shocker, you're naked.
We're not all action
this
figures
isn't Fallout
down there.
3, where you have like a female like take off a bikini and suddenly she's wearing like shorts and a tank top. It's like, wait a minute, huh? No, and it's like, and that's perfectly fine to go and have stuff like that. But it's like, you can literally have a toggle in games, like for like RPGs, the rest stuff. Where it's like, okay, when do you want to go and make it so there's no nudity? So like, hey, any of those scenes will be skipped, and any outside of there, it's like you will have the magical underwear that just pops on to characters if like you want to dress them or stuff like that. Sure, that could be an option, but make it an option. Don't be like, well, hey, everyone has to play by these rules because fuck it, can't see tits. Like, I mean, this is mostly for. I mean, obviously, if you're playing like if you were playing something like Doom, you're probably not going to be having too many like sexy scenes there. It's like that's not the kind of game it is. But if you're playing an RPG, well, hey, wait a minute. If you want a realistic world, I mean, it depends what story the developers want to tell there. You might be telling a story where it's like, hey, this is mostly just telling the campaign of Ragnarok the Great and his crusades against the 15th century Vikings.
Ragnarok, really? Like Ragnarok the Barbarian from Fallout comics?
Not what I was going for, but I'm just like, if that's a story, you're telling a story of like a military campaign, it's like, okay, you might not have, even if it is an RPG, you might not be, this might not be a character, and that might not be the storytelling way you're going for. Romance might not even be a part of it, and that's perfectly fine.
Right, like, look, take Doom. Where Doom, you have all that gore because it's part of the franchise, it's part of the storytelling.
It is literally just rip and tear. That's
literally the whole point. It's, rip and tear until it is done, and then you just rip and tear.
But with a lot of games these days coming out with, hey, here's this romance subplot, hey, here's the you're an entrepreneur subplot, all this kind of stuff. It's like, okay, if you're gonna do that though, do it well. Don't just half-ass it, whole-ass it. I don't know. Anyway, back to Cyberpunk.
But back to Cyberpunk. It's really cool that we got to see some more gameplay. Like, especially just actual gameplay, not like, because we've been getting a lot of cinematic trailers, I noticed. Like, where the one where Dexter Deshawn is shooting at you, and then when you, the next clip is you wake up with Johnny Silverhand saying, "Wake the fuck up, Samurai," and then you have, like, another clip, like, where you're shooting out of a car and stuff like that. Like, that's all cool, but I want to see more gameplay, just because, if you're going to delay the game, at least give me something to last me a few more weeks,
Now, not to go and sidetrack again here, but Samurai is the name of Johnny Silverhand's band, correct?
Yes.
So it's interesting that Silverhand addresses you as Samurai. Now, and I mean, obviously, we've all seen the jacket that the character wears with like the super high collar and stuff, and it has Samurai on it.
Yeah, it literally has the Samurai logo on the back. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering, is V just a fan of the band? And ironically, hey, by the way, here's the lead singer of that band who was also a terrorist and now he's in your head. I'm wondering if it's just an ironic coincidence, or if there's something else playing into that. Maybe it's something like later on you gear yourself up, with the Samurai logo. It's to kind of show you as the character are taking on Johnny,
yeah, he's, even if it's not like infecting your personality, it's affecting the way you present yourself. Yeah.
Well,
in game.
it could be a conscious choice too. When Johnny's like, "Hey, the corporations did this, this, and this to me. I want to get back at them." You're like, "Yeah, let's do it." And you're kind of showing yourself as the specter, the continuation of Johnny Silverhand's
Right.
legacy by wearing his logo, his band name.
I
on
think
your
it's
gear.
just it might. I'm betting that the jacket's probably not just like a random. And look, it could just be a random item you can get at a store. Like it's just samurai merchandise, because we know that some of the band members are still alive. We meet one of them in the game.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering, because also too would be like, hey, it's like you're some corporate executive or something like that. Hey, by the way, you remember that fucking like singer guy that we fucked over, and then he tried to fuck us over, and we finally iced him. With that one like band Samaru or something. Yeah, vaguely. What about it? That was decades ago. What about it? Or there's some fucking kid wearing all his with his logo plastered all over himself, killing our goons left, right, and center in downtown. Uh-oh.
Right. I don't know. It just there's so many, like, we know a lot, but there's also so many gaps in the things that we know about the story that it's so hard. Like, how do we bridge these gaps without knowing a lot of the details?
So
We just know basic facts when at the end of the day. And it's super cool that we actually get the, not only is Johnny Silverhand being played by Keanu Reeves, which is awesome, but we got him in our head. Like, he's essentially a co-protagonist of the game. It's not like, okay, he's just a side character, you can ditch him, whatever. No, he's going to be there for the entire game.
Like, well, we don't know if it's the entire.
But we don't know. It could be, maybe you get rid of him. We don't know. It could be interesting.
Because he already referenced taking over our bodies, so it'd be interesting to see, like, hey, here's you, but it's not you. It's Johnny Silverhand playing you.
Yeah, like, one of the endings of the game could be Johnny takes over your body. You're essentially dead, and now Johnny's you. Or more accurately, you are now Johnny.
And you are now John Jacob Chickleheimer Smith. His name is my name too.
Yeah, it's definitely really cool, and I love the idea that we're actually going to be able to play as Johnny in flashback sequences that could either be like filler between 2020 and 2077, or even take place during the event of 2020. So we also got to see that rack of arms. That was kind of funny.
Yeah, and like you were saying, to be interested to have, like, you open up your closet, you just have like all
which arms do I decide to go with today? Do I want the rocket launcher arms, the mechanized arms, or?
I think I'm going to go with the ones that shoot ping pong balls, just because I'm feeling in more of a purple mood today.
And we got to look at pretty much the best look at the customization menu and UI that we've ever gotten, because we've gotten looks here and there, but this is the most recent version that we've seen. Odds are it's probably closer to what the finished version will be. I mean, it could just be the finished version. The game's out already done, so to speak.
Options, but it definitely does look good.
It looks good. It seems though that we're not like really going to be able to mold our face like clay. We're just picking like faces and mixing stuff up. Which I have no problem with, because again, the way they're painting the character of V, it's not like V is its own character. It's not just a vessel for us to essentially drive.
And I wonder too, like, so it showed some of the vehicles it would have, and we've seen like a couple of motorcycles, a couple different cars and trucks and stuff in between there. But it sounds like we'll be able to go and customize our vehicles themselves. And I'm wondering too, is that all going to be just cosmetic? So, like, is it going to be?
Yeah, I mean, look at this quadra. Look at the quadra here. Look what's going on the hood.
Yeah.
And not the hood, the roof.
But I'm wondering, is it all going to be cosmetic, or is there going to be like functional stuff too? It's like, can I get fucking rocket launchers on my car, or some kind of like a turret, or
Oh,
maybe
like
a
put weapons
phaser or
on the
something.
car?
Yeah, yeah. Or possibly other stuff, like maybe there's some kind of like a radar ping or something that allows you to pick up on stuff you wouldn't be able to on foot because it has more powerful equipment built into the car there. Detecting secrets or other stuff, unsecured networks, Because like I said, you can hold larger amounts and bigger types of equipment on the car than you could on, just built into your person there. So
I mean, here, look, we have 3 different cars in this shot alone. I can't tell what car this is in the the left foreground, but we got the Quadra that V's driving later in this clip. I'm trying to remember the name of this purple car here, but I'm blanking on it, and I'm also blanking on that sedan-looking car over there. But yeah, like, also remember, like, they showed off they had a whole episode dedicated to cars before. Remember when they showed off the Porsche 911 that belonged to Johnny Silverhand that we'll be able to drive? And that, I think that plays more into what you were talking about earlier, where it's like you can literally just, like, that whole, like, the ghost of Johnny Silverhand has come back because, like, okay, now his car's out. Someone's pretty much doing all the things he was doing. It's like you can.
You killed off this bitch, and then suddenly, all of a sudden, like you're seeing people dressed up in his gear, driving his car, speaking, using phraseology that the guy himself used. You're just like, what the fuck? I killed this bitch.
So we should probably also talk about the score a bit, just because we were both, sound design in anything is very important. And I think they nailed the score so far, from what I've heard.
Oh yeah, I mean, just hearing it, and I mean, and like they pointed out, music gives you a emotional connection that you might not otherwise have. 'Cause it's like it's part of the difference between, like, if you were, for example, let's say if if you were at a dock, like in real life, you're at like a dock in the middle of the night, what would you probably be thinking? You're probably thinking, it's cold, this wind sucks, I want to go home, just get this shit done, get out of here. But then it's like you've got this like kick-ass rock beat in the background, pumping you up. You're like, all right, sweet, let's sweep through these docks, let's fucking kill all the assholes that are around here messing with me. It changed the entire mood of it.
Right, exactly. It sets the mood. It sets the emotional level of wherever you are. For instance, if you have if you're in this drab, dark,
you're like, oh shit, is someone stalking me?
Yeah, like maybe some
in control. You're like, oh shit, what's in the shadows?
Right.
You're creeping around.
Yeah, look, music is a very important thing. It's it is very emotional and everything when you have, depending on how it's used, and like it can also be used as essentially adrenaline for really cool action scenes and stuff like that. And I love the care and detail that they put into. I love that they actually have the people making the music talking about it, and it's not someone else talking about it. That's another thing I like. That's like, okay, I got to be able to do my own style, and then this other guy goes, oh, I was imagining if I was an artist in this universe, in this climate, what would I do,
Yeah, it really seems they've pulled out kind of all the stops for making not just, I mean, they're not just making a video game, they are working on making what it seems like to me. They're working on making an entire world in which this video game is being made and presented.
Right.
So it's definitely very interesting.
Again, and you have this clip here from the Run the Jewels rap music that they made that they released a few days ago. Which, look, I'm not a rap guy. I mean, I really don't listen to any rap. I'm not a fan of it. But I mean, I love the visuals that they put into, like, these guys clearly, like, they wanted to do this. They wanted to make a song that you can kick ass to quote them.
They did a great job with it.
Yeah.
And that's just now. I'm sure even once Cyberpunk comes out.
Yeah, we're gonna probably hear about a bunch of tracks that we didn't even know existed because they didn't release any of it before.
Exactly.
I just love seeing the enthusiasm of these artists too. Where it's like, I the fact that I was able to make this song, whatever, like it feels genuine.
Yeah. I mean, and we're probably only going to see more of that after the game comes out because it's like with all the source material now from the whole game there, people making like, hey, here's because also too we're getting not just of course the game, but there's the promised anime set in the universe
Right.
of, but not necessarily
But
associated to
Netrunners, if
our
you could
main
call it.
storyline. So it's going to be really interesting to see how many other stories and stuff people make to go and fit into and build out this world on top of what CD Projekt Red is making. Now it'd be really interesting if CD Projekt Red were to go and put out like how Bethesda used to do, putting out like some of the tools and editors that they use and be like, hey, community, if you guys want to go and try making mods for this, like so not just things like, scripts that run in the background to do stuff or like some texture swatches, but actual content. And it's like, hey, if you want to make new guns, new outfits, new dialogue, new quests, new environments, go to it. That'd be really interesting. Personally, I don't think that would happen, but that'd be a really interesting move to do.
Hell, the very fact that like, okay, they're making a Cyberpunk game, and they got the writer of Cyberpunk 2020 to return to make the write for Cyberpunk 2077 is already awesome. And like, and then they go into this whole language here that that's such a small, little subtle detail that could have been overlooked, and people would have like, yeah, they'll notice it, but at the end of the day, no one would really care. But they cared, and they wanted to make sure that it was
they're like
seamless for everyone. And I like that. It's like, okay, we want everyone to have the same experience with this game. We don't want they don't want okay, you're playing on PlayStation and you're playing on say the PC. We don't want the PC person or the PlayStation person to have a better experience or a different experience than the other. They want it to be the same for everyone, no matter what platform you're playing it on, and I like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I like that it's pretty much they wanted to make they made the effort to make sure the game is the same no matter what platform you're playing it on. So it doesn't matter what platform you're playing it on. You're just supposed to have fun.
And a lot of developers would just be like, hey, screw the old stuff. We're focusing on the new stuff, and the old stuff, we might patch it later on to make it better.
Yeah. But yeah, it's nice to see enthusiasm in a game this big.
Yes.
Or at least a game with this much hype behind it. Even if it was a small game,
Well, I mean, you've seen a lot of developers, especially in recent years, where it feels like they're just kind of shitting stuff out. They're like, good enough, chuck it out there, and that's it. I mean, Halo Infinite kind of feels sort of like that, where it's like, they're like, good enough, we'll just move on here. And it's just like,
It's the lack of passion, I think.
Yeah.
It's like they don't care when if you care about something like say Cyberpunk and you want to make sure it's good because you care about it, because you have that passion for it, it's going to come through. But if you don't have that passion for it, then it shows.
That's going to show too. And unfortunately, with a lot of, especially as game companies get bigger and bigger, you do see a lot of people who are passionate about video games getting replaced with people who are only passionate about the bottom line.
Right.
Does the market study say
EA,
this
Activision, Blizzard, Bethesda?
Yep, absolutely.
Microsoft in some
And
ways.
even though you might still have some people who are passionate about it, if the people who are driving your video games are commanding the direction they're going in, then you can have all the passionate people you want, but because I've heard of countless times like writers of video games will talk about, yeah, we wanted to do this, that, and the other thing, but the corporate overlords who actually control the direction this stuff goes in are like, no, 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 we're doing this, this, and this, and even though we as the developers, we as the programmers, we as the writers, we did not want that, ultimately at the end of the day it's still your job. It's like, sure, it'd be nice if everyone had freedom of expression entirely, but then nothing would ever get done, and it's like at the end of the day they got to do their job too, just
Yeah.
as all everyone else does. So it's like, then you just have to the point where you get stuff like the Mass Effect 3 ending, where it was just like, oh, this is exactly what you said you wouldn't do when you did it.
Or it just feels phoned in,
yeah. It's just like, what the fuck? Or things like Halo 4. I would say Halo 4 was not great. And then Halo 5, which was worse. Things like, things like Fallout 76, to where it's like there were just no fucks given whatsoever. It was just, hey, look, bottom line says this, and it's like, well, okay, on paper it says that. However, if you look at the real world, this is what's happening. We don't care about facts. Paper says this, we do it. It's like, not good.
And here we go. Look at cyberspace again.
Yep, that I wonder too if we'll only be able to go to cyberspace when the story calls for it, or if it's something we'll be able to do. Because I'm wondering, because they were talking about like with like the brain dance stuff. We're talking about like there's movies you can watch, like probably video games and stuff you can do. And I'm wondering, will we? They were talking about like, hey, you could go. They were showing off like your character riding like a roller coaster or something there. I'm wondering how much extracurricular stuff have they made aside from the story for our character to do if we're just like, hey, I want to go and take a break from mowing people down and sneaking around gathering corporate secrets here. I want to go watch a movie in game. I wonder if they'll have any. No, obviously I'm not.
They're probably not going to do something like that, but they're probably going to have some kind of like mini game or something for sure.
Yeah. I'm just talking small stuff. I'm not saying like full production like movies or full video game mini games and like nothing like that. No. But just general stuff using that technology.
Right, similar to probably like what they did with Witcher 3 and Gwent.
Yeah, exactly. So here's hoping they do more stuff with it.
Also, that is definitely a 4K shotgun. Look at the size of that motherfucking shell. It's bigger than someone's forearm.
Maybe even 5-arm.
And that thing's probably just gonna, drill a hole through someone's torso. It's not even, or they'll just explode. I don't know.
Somehow, though, I have the feeling if you shoot, what's his name, Mr. Robot Head there?
Oh, the guy who, Atom Smasher? The guy who's pretty much entirely a cyborg?
Yeah, I have the feeling if you go and hit him with one of those, he's just going to go and shrug it off, probably.
Okay, so here's the
but
here's the customization menu, so we got to look at that.
I want, for customization stuff, I just want lots and lots and lots and lots of options.
Right. I mean, God knows I'm going to be spending hours in here.
It'll be Skyrim all over again.
And I like how you can choose, the cyberware on the face, and how you can choose, I guess here are your preset faces, and you can mix them up.
I wonder if the cyberware you choose, when you got that initial stuff there, I wonder if that'll have any effect.
And yeah, keep this in mind. Remember, which character, whether you're male or female, actually, and even what you have down there affects what characters you can interact with and how you interact with them.
Which is good, because also too, I'm glad that they did not go for a Bethesda Fallout 4. Everyone is everyone likes you no matter who or what you are. It's like, not quite how that works.
Yeah, like I think, for instance, Judy Alvarez, the brain dance chick, I think supposedly like you won't be able to. She's a romance character, and you can only romance her if you're a woman. I think. Could be wrong there, but that's what I heard. Like, and then they showed off clips, so I don't know. But it's stuff like that, and then you have other things too, where they're probably like maybe a gang will treat you differently, and won't hire you or will hire you depending on what sex you are and stuff like that.
It's entirely possible.
And we saw that clip where those goons went in the Xbox gameplay showcase, where it's like, okay, like, hey little lady, right? It's like where they essentially are hitting on her and trying to get her to sleep with them, and then it's like you just flip them off and then you kill them.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a dude, they're probably gonna treat you a lot differently.
Yeah, but it's like, if you're like, hey, I need to get in there, one option, of course, kill them all. Another option might be like, you go and you flirt with them to get past the guards there or something like that. Like, oh, hey, I need to make a delivery here. Can you go and let me in? Oh yeah, sure, okay. Versus, hey, I'm just gonna kill you.
And remember, in Night City, looks are everything. Even says so in the customization menu. And you can customize your damn teeth, man.
Look, okay, if I want to have all of my teeth bleed with platinum, okay, don't judge me for it.
Platinum teeth. Yep. You can have platinum teeth, and I mean, look, even I know a lot of people joke about that kind of, like, make jokes about the whole private area customization, where it's like, oh, you can choose whether circumcised or non-circumcised and all that, and your hair down there and all that. It's like, look, you get to be whatever you want in this game. You can do whatever you want. That's
the real question here, which is, can I customize my fucking nose hair?
You want to have it like 3 inches long, sticking out or something? It's a whole new mustache.
I want to have it to where my character has like the crazy scientist mustache, but it's not really a mustache; it's nose hair.
No, I got a better one for you. Payas from your nose. It's just a bad idea. Don't do that.
I was
Such a curly nose hair.
For anyone who's watched like Robot Chicken, the crazy scientist at the very, very, very beginning. Something like that.
Like here, this guy's one of Johnny Silverhand's band members. He's a member of Samurai. So you get to meet some of them. Also, I like how Johnny's just sitting there, like standing there, smoking, whatever. But he's not really there.
Yeah.
And all I know is that this was definitely a lot of good news. Like, and look, I know a lot of people are pissed about the delay. Again, we predicted this in like March that it was going to be delayed to December.
Realistically,
because we were looking at it realistically,
there's a decent chance we might not be seeing Cyberpunk until 2021.
Yeah, that's true. We might.
I'm just saying, for anyone who's still going, hey, I should go and take days off. Just saying.
It seems they have said they're really aiming for the new goal for the December.
Well, I mean, and I'm sure they were really aiming for the previous.
Right.
True.
True.
I don't think they were just lazing around. But
no, you're right. But just
stuff happens. So
absolutely. And look, I wouldn't be surprised, but at the same time, I'm hoping for the best, planning for the worst.
Yes, yeah. Hopefully,
that being said, if this game does somehow become the biggest disappointment and it's horrible or whatever, we're doing a review here on this channel. We will, essentially kick its ass if it's a bad game. Just because it's CD Projekt Red means nothing.
Exactly.
No, if Star Citizen does something wrong, we point it out.
If we're wearing rose-tinted goggles, they're a very light shade of pink.
Yeah.
Very light.
Yeah, honestly, I have yet to see any problems so far, so...
I did hear... No, I personally did not watch the video where they were reviewing, like, the console stuff, but apparently there was something where, like, it was something regarding, like, the clothes or something like that, and, like, there had been, like, a visual glitch or something that revealed that, like, the character wasn't really wearing the clothes, but they had gone and something like they had taken the character model and deleted it underneath the clothes. So essentially, it's like, so instead of loading, like, hey, let's say, for example,
So
if
it
you got an
deloads
arm.
whatever is underneath the clothes at the time.
Correct, and that this was and according again to what I was hearing there, that was not intentional. Now that
So that
might
was a
just be
bug,
something they do
okay.
for a load, for loading performance wise.
When
So like,
do
hey,
you know
we don't
when this
need
was?
that.
Because
It was in like whatever video they just recently released for the consoles.
Gotcha.
Yeah, on that I don't know.
All right. I mean, look, bugs are. You can't make. I mean, having something that's absolutely bug free is extremely rare.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I can pretty much guarantee there's going to be bugs when it comes out. It's just how big are they going to be? Hopefully, relatively small.
Yeah. I mean, look, what did Insidian say about Outer Worlds like a year before it came out? They're like, is this game gonna be? Will this game have bugs? They were asked, and it's like, oh yeah, a lot of them.
Yeah,
but what's funny is that the game on release, the game actually, I've only encountered 2 bugs throughout like a year's worth of playthrough.
Well, sure, and I mean, the hope would probably be that most bugs, that most bugs that players encounter would just be like either stuff you don't even realize. It's like, hey,
The only bug I found was a graphical bug, and we only encountered it once, and it was just located to this one wall in this one structure, and I've never encountered it again ever since. So
yeah, well, I mean, and it might just be something with that one thing, and if someone doesn't go and see that one structure from the angle you were viewing it at,
right,
they might not get that bug. So it's like in that case, it's like, oh well, okay, so that would be a example of a good error, as much as any error can be good, because then it's like, well, hey,
it's kind of like
you
a
only have
look. Like I
few-
wasn't looking for it. I just came across it because it was one of those bugs where like sometimes when you have an object, yeah, you can see okay, it's a cup. It's a solid cup, but if you look inside the cup, you don't see the inside the cup because in video games a lot of the times what they do is they don't model the inside of an object. I probably shouldn't use a cup, but maybe say like a sealed crate, right? And if you're able to clip through the crate, you'll look inside the crate and realize there is no inside the crate. You just see the same things you'd see if you were outside the crate. Because there's only visuals on the outside that you're looking at normally. So it was one of those types of bugs where I saw a wall and I saw through it on one side and saw the wall on the other side. So, but yeah, that was just one bug, and then I think the other bug I encountered was I failed a mission, but then I reloaded and the mission didn't actually fail. So that may have just been like either a save thing or like I screwed up with a save or that quest had a thing. I don't know, but that was I played the game on release, so
yeah,
and I've only encountered 2 bugs. That's pretty good.
Which isn't bad.
Yeah, for a just released game, especially nowadays where you have like day 1 patches for every other game.
You're not wrong. Anyway, so I would still rather have like a day 1 patch to make sure everything's good than just we'll fix it, fucking someday.
Right? Yeah. No, I totally agree. If like there's something wrong, they better fix it that day 1, and I think they're probably going to do that. Also, like speaking of game bugs, you see the Watch Dogs stuff.
No,
Legion.
honestly,
Apparently, there's like game saving problems where it doesn't save your game. You have to redo missions. Yeah.
Nice.
But anyway,
Yeah, Legion just wasn't appealing to me with the idea that every character is your character. That to me just seems like a code for we didn't want to write an actual story, so we wrote little short stories and a bunch of them to try to make something cohesive, kind of, sort of, maybe.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Give us your money.
Well, do we have anything else to say on Cyberpunk? We talked about the soundtrack. We talked about behind the scenes and the Jolly whatever, so that they can speak different languages. Which is, again, they didn't need to do that, but they did it anyways, and I love that.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, they said they had like 7 hours of audio and not just audio, but of tracks made for it.
Yeah, that means that they have
most games have what
That
Now
that must have taken a long time. And the fact
I mean,
that they have in
years.
the game so far looks finished. We know it's already done. The only problem really right now is that they have to make sure it works the way they want it to work on every platform. You know, like, so that's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I said this a lot in the past. Like, look, people that are upset that the game got delayed. Look, video games, especially good ones, take a long time to be made.
Yes. That's one
Especially
reason,
games that are taking risks, because that means that they're creating new ideas.
Yep. As opposed to just rehashing the same stuff over and over and over. Call of Duty.
Right. But anyway, I don't think we have you have anything else to say on Cyberpunk?
Nope.
Alright, so let's close it up. So, what do why don't we, okay, what do you guys in the comment section think of the game and of Night City Wire Episode 5? Because we liked it, so... And the game's looking good. Me personally, I love the Cyberpunk franchise and genre because of that transhumanism story element, where it's like, what does it mean to be human? It's like, when you mod yourself so much with cybernetics, are you still human? Because is humanity just that flesh and meat, or is it something more? But yeah, and Cam, what do you like about Cyberpunk?
I like you had said, I love this idea of what is it to be human. When are you no longer human? My minor in college was philosophy, so it delves into a lot of those kinds of ideas of it, and to have an entire genre
Based on it,
exploring
yeah.
these ideas, it's really, really interesting. And then, of course, you get into all the tech, the guns, the explosions.
Right, exactly.
Stuff that just adds to it. But
Oh, those are gonna
underlying
be
it,
fun.
it's literally just, what is it to be human? What makes you human? Is it physical bodies? Is it our actions? Is it our soul, if you think we have one? Something else? And it plays with these ideas. It's like, is this really Johnny Silverhand, or would this just be essentially a copy,
Like an AI? Like, that's the thing. It's like, would you consider Johnny Silverhand human in this game? Because he's, for all intents and purposes, like, he's a ghost of what he used to be, considering how he's dead now, and this is just a copy of him in your mind, for at least in a layman way of explaining it.
Yeah, I know exactly.
So
it's definitely interesting to see games playing with these ideas.
Yeah. Anyway, let us know what you guys think in the comments, because we do read them for some reason, and
occasionally.
And yeah, I think we're gonna end it here. We have some merch now. I put some new stuff on the store, on the Teespring store. A link in the description, as well as link to the eBay store in the description, and link to the PayPal. Just in case you, for some reason, you don't want to get something in return to give us money. But yeah, we got some sweatshirts, t-shirts. I got my sweatshirt wore. It's actually effective. It's not just pretty to look at. It actually works as a sweatshirt. Keeps you warm. And that's the zip-up one. I haven't tried the hoodie one yet.
But can it keep you warm in a nuclear winter?
I don't think you have to worry about keeping warm at that point, because you'd be dead.
Well, not necessarily. What about for the survivors?
They'd want to be dead.
Maybe.
Alright, and I have an image of that, what was it, anime, right? The Cyberpunk anime that we were talking about earlier, the Edge Runners, because that's going to be on Netflix in, what was it, 2022? Yeah, 2022.
Yes.
So that's going to be cool. And yeah, I mean, this is an awesome game. We're going to be playing it on channel. We don't know what we're going to be doing schedule-wise. I'm actually, we're working on that, so until then, this has been Mando, Merc, and Cam, and we're going to see you guys next video.
Don't die.